Hey guys, Marcus Robbins here. Just wanted to send this quick video just to kind of give you a verbal rundown of the email that we're sending out with the offering memorandum for Sunset RV Park. You know, Sunset RV Park is very similar to the last deal that many of you guys have already invested in, or many of you have, taken a look at. We have, Armadillo RV Park, which is the park that we just closed on, which was last Monday. That park is doing really well. We closed on Monday. Within 2 days' time, we had about 12 guys over there starting on the landscaping and the renovation packages there. So, the goal of this was for us to kind of take over this Hudson Bend area in Lake Travis, Texas. So this is an Austin address, if you're not familiar. Lake Travis is just 19 miles from downtown Austin, about 9 miles from Bee Cave. And so we initially reached out to Armadillo RV Park. We got this park under contract. We've successfully raised the money and closed. That park's doing well. And then we approached another individual that owned 2 other parks. And the interesting part about this one is that this is a portfolio of 2 parks. And we caught these individuals actually in the middle of redeveloping one of the properties. And we talked to them and said, hey, we just closed on Armadillo. We would like to purchase these other 2 parks from you. And we kind of caught them off guard, to be honest with you, but we negotiated amazing terms like we always do. And so Sunset RV Park is what this video is about. It's what this next investment, this offering is about. And again, it's 2 parks, it's 71 lots. And the interesting part with this park is that it's made up of 2 different parks. One park in which that we caught them mid-renovation. So they had already acquired this park. They literally got rid of all the tenants. It was a fully occupied park, as all of these RV parks are over there. So they got rid of every tenant on that property, had them move out, and they completely redid all the infrastructure. So they redid all the roads, they redid the septic, the electric, everything. It's a brand new park, redeveloped, essentially what we would do if we were to take over this park. So they have 1 park of the 2-park portfolio that was already renovated. And in our contract, we have negotiated that we will not close on this property until they have it fully occupied. So we'll be taking over park number 1, fully occupied, brand new park with lot rents that's already at market, $730 for the lot rent. And then park number 2 is just a minute away from the first Sunset RV Park that was newly renovated. And park number 2 is just like Armadillo, which is the one that we purchased just a week ago. And this is just kind of a light value add property. So with park number 2, what we'll do is we'll go in there and we'll implement the same strategy and structure and business plan that I've been doing since 2012, which is, essentially to take over these parks. We look for parks, generally they're operated by mom and pops. And so mom and pops, they're generally boomers, they're a little bit older, they're approaching retirement. And so we'll approach them, we'll review all their books, and normally with these properties, their operating expenses are out of control. With Sunset RV Parks, just like Armadillo, the last one, their operating expenses are hovering right around 50%, and our sweet spot is about 37 to 40%. And so, one of the first things we'll do when we take over these properties is we'll come in and we'll clean up all the operating expenses. And so we'll get them to that kind of sweet spot that we like, that 37 to 40%. From there, then we'll start doing our light value add strategy. And when I say light value add strategy, these are RV parks. Again, these are properties where we only own and rent out the lots. So we don't actually own the homes themselves or the RVs. The individuals, the tenants own those. And so we'll take over these properties. Generally, they've been neglected. They need to have their roads redone. They need to have landscaping packages. Generally, that's non-existent. We normally will get some professional marquee signage up in the front as well, too. And then we'll use all of our in-house team to do all of our marketing for our pay-per-click advertising, search engine optimization, social media advertising as well too. So these parks, like I said, they're already doing well. They already have high occupancy. It's just us coming in and kind of tweaking in the little levers that we've been doing for such a long time now. And so we'll take over these parks. So the strategy with this, as most of you have heard if you already participated in the Armadillo RV Park, is all 3 of these parks, park 1 we already closed on, park 2 and 3 we're under contract. And so all 3 of these parks are in Hudson Bend. It's in a concentrated area of Lake Travis, and they're all within 1 to 2 minutes from each other. And so our objective here is to take over all of these properties and implement our value add strategy, implement our marketing, decrease their operating expenses, and just get them stabilized, get the financials humming, get everything automated where the tenants are paying their rent online. Excuse me. And then what we'll do is we'll package these, we'll package them together, we'll brand them as one common brand. So right now we currently have Armadillo RV Parks and we have Sunset RV Parks. And so we're rebranding all of these. We already have the logos made up. We've got the website in the works right now. And we're rebranding these to Lakeside RV Resort. And so all three of these will have the Lakeside name, the same Lakeside logo. We'll just have Lakeside at Doss Road, Lakeside at James Road. And so we'll separate those. But the objective here is to clean all of these up. We'll have one common brand, and then we will sell those off to an investor as one portfolio that's kind of a turnkey portfolio, especially for a lot of institutional investors or different investors that don't like to do the heavy lifting like what we do. And so we'll implement that and get through that. Just wrapping this up before I kind of breeze through the offering memorandum. These are, if you've not invested with us or you've not had a conversation with myself or with my partners and team in the past, these are the same that we do with all of our properties. So this is an RV park, not a mobile home park. So RV park, just to quickly explain, in our RV parks, we go after what's called a long-term RV park or an extended stay RV park. And historically, when people think RV parks, they think a vacation destination. Yes, we're on a lake, but we're not going after the vacationers that just want to come and fish for the weekend. And so we go after a longer term park. We don't go after the vacation destinations. And the reason behind that is that the vacation destinations, they're very cyclical. And so the income it's seasonal, right? And so, May through August, you might be doing really well. And then you've got 8 months of downtime. And really for us, it just doesn't make much sense. We value consistent year-round cash flow. And so we go after these longer term parks. Most people don't understand that a lot of individuals nowadays live in RVs. So they live in these RVs. It's the minimalistic lifestyle. And our tenant profile is really made up of a couple of different things. The first one would be elderly folks that might not have saved for retirement. And so when they look to retire, they'll look at their nest egg and go, man, we don't have enough set aside for us to sit back and retire. And so what they'll do is they'll generally sell their home, which they've probably lived in for 60 years. They'll sell that home. They'll, receive all the capital from that. They'll go out and buy an RV and they'll just park it in one of our parks and they'll live in that park indefinitely. And this is great because it allows these elderly folks to have the flexibility where if they want to go see their friends or their family in, let's say, Arizona for a week, they can do that and still maintain their residence with us and keep that spot. So they actually will leave, continue to pay lot rent so they can guarantee their spot, and then they'll just come back. So first tenant profile is elderly folks for kind of an affordable housing. The second one is the minimalistic lifestyle. Like we all know nowadays that, especially with the younger generation, people are talking about tiny homes. And, at Sunset RV Park specifically for the new development, there's multiple tiny homes on that property. So we have a lot of people that they could be married couples or they could just be a single guy or gal. And they'll get an RV or they'll get a tiny home and they live in those because they can generally end up getting one of these for $20 to $60, really subjective depending on what they want, $20 to $60,000. So they can purchase one of these. And then at that point, all they need to do is pay lot rent every month and we maintain the lawns and take care of all the landscaping. There's no taxes, there's no insurance. And so it's an affordable way for them to live that minimalistic lifestyle. And the last one is as a workforce or commuter housing. And so we've got three. We've got the elderly folks, the minimalistic, kind of the younger generation. And then we've got workforce housing or commuter housing. And a lot of people really don't think about this, but you've got fiber optic lines going in, you've got new developments, you've got shopping centers, you've got all the development in these major metropolitan areas like Austin and like Lake Travis where we're investing. And so a lot of times this will be encompassed of contractors that will go and live in an RV park for 6 months as they're performing a job, or a lot of times traveling nurses as well too. Insurance adjusters is another big one. And then lastly, in a specific pocket like Lake Travis, like if you've been to Lake Travis, you know that multi-million-dollar homes all around, you've got the lake there. And, the apartments that are there, there's no form of affordable housing in Lake Travis. And so the Class A apartments that are being built are a couple $1,000s a month for a 1-bedroom. And so a lot of times this can also be an affordable housing play for the contractors that live there and work in that area just to be able to afford to live there. So that's kind of a breakdown on the tenant profile and what we're doing. I'm going to walk you through real quick. We'll just do a share screen, and I'm going to do this quickly just to give you a brief overview. If you have specific questions on specific slides or individual slides, please reach out to us and we can help you with those here. But just to go through this real quick, we've got, so we'll start off here, and there we go. So we've got the Lakeside RV Park we talked. We're going to be rebranding this property. Again, I'm going to kind of breeze through these here. This one right now, it's very similar to our last deal. So those of you that were invested in Armadillo RV Park, it's got a 1.62 equity multiple. So that's, people talk about doubling their money, right? This is almost that. So 1.62 equity multiple, meaning what they put in, multiply that times 1.62 for their return. Their internal rate of return takes into account the time value of money. And this is an 18.39% return there. So strong return. And as you know, when we put these things together, these are always very conservative projections there. So you'll see a lot of advertisements about much higher IRRs, but we tend to be, very conservative with these things. Cash on cash is at 8.55. What most of the investors that work with us like is that when we take over properties, we're never taking over a property that's not cash flowing day one, which means, just to back up to make sure this makes sense for those of you that might be a little bit newer, when we acquire a property, yes, we're going to do all of these value add strategies. We're going to do the marketing. We're going to lower the operating expenses. But when we acquire and we underwrite and review all the numbers for these properties, we want to make sure that day one out of the gates, when we close on a property, after we've paid all the expenses, all the operating expenses, and the debt service, that we are still cash flow positive. And the reason we're so big on this is that we make sure that we are paying out our investors cash flow distributions day one. And so the average cash on cash return for the lifespan of the deal is at 8.55%. So just to give you an idea, we'll close on the property and we will be paying out cash flow distributions month one. Generally that cash flow distribution is probably about a 7% or so month one for the first 6 months or so, because that's before we've done any of our value add renovations or any of our strategies there. But it will average out at 8.55 cash flow. That means the money that we will be paying out every single month to the investor is at that averaging out to 8.55. And so this is great because a lot of real estate deals that people get into, it's generally a 2 to 3 year horizon before they ever receive any type of funds. And sometimes they don't receive any funds until year 4, 5, or 6, until they sell the property, let's say like a multifamily and apartment complex. They'll wait for 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 years, and the investors haven't seen any money that whole time. They're just praying that these individuals that are putting the deal together and that are managing the deal, that they execute well on their plan, and that when they sell, they're praying that they do well and that they'll have money. So our investors love the fact that they are receiving cash flow payments every single month while we hold the deal. You'll see the purchase price here for the 2 properties, either the 2 parks, 71 lots is $5.25, so just a little over $5.2 million. We're raising for this deal from our LP partners, so that's our limited partners. And those of you guys that are a little bit newer to this, the way this breaks down is you've got a GP, which is a general partner like myself and my partners. So we're the ones that put the deal together. We do all the work, all the heavy lifting. We take care of everything. We're the general partners. In this specific deal, we will own 35% of this deal. So we'll own 35% of the deal. And the investors, the LPs is what we refer to them as, a limited partner. They're like a passive or a silent partner. So they're not required to do any work on this. They don't need to be on conference calls. But the limited partners will own 65% of the deal. So all of our investors own 65%. Myself and my partners own 35% of that. And so that'll just give you an idea of the split and how that works out. And just going through here, our hold time for this one is a 3-year hold time. And so That means that we're looking to exit this property, sell the property within 3 years. Sometimes we might do that within 2 years. It could be a little sooner, just depending on how the economy is going and how we feel about everything. The other thing too is that we will take these, and again, the objective is to roll these up and sell them as a portfolio here. You'll notice on the right side, I'll let you go through this individually. There is a link in the email that will have this OM, the offering memorandum, for you to go through. You'll notice that we have $160,000 budgeted for a 20 lot expansion, which will add $13,000 in additional income. And then we've got $18,000 for tree trimming, $45,000 for resurfacing roads, and $375,000 to completely redesign and reinstall a septic system that will be sized properly for the expansion that we're doing. And so that will give you a breakdown on the renovations there. Replace current management. We're very vertically integrated, which means that we do all of our own in-house management. We do all of our own in-house marketing when it comes to all the pay-per-click, social media marketing. So everything is done in-house. And so we have our staff that just comes in and implements our strategy on all of these properties there. Lastly, here you'll notice that we're going to be lowering the expenses. They're currently over a 50% expense ratio, which is really high for a long-term park. Maybe the short-term parks where it's a vacation destination, they operate like a hotel. So normally those are a larger expense ratio, but when you have a long-term park, we're looking to be around that 37 to 40% here. I probably don't need to go through this slide or take much time on this, because this is talking about obviously Texas economy, and then we talk about Austin, Silicon Hills, and so we all know that Austin, the 512, that area is just doing amazingly well. Lake Travis is just this niche area and just an amazing area to work in and invest in there. So let's see here. We've got this, I've kind of briefly touched on some of this stuff, 9 miles from Bee Cave, 19 miles from downtown Austin there. And again, the key of all of this is that we're going to own 3 parks, all within 1 to 2 minutes of each other. What that does, that gives us pricing control. And so we'll be able to control and really dictate the price point of what these lots are renting for in this market. So that's huge for us. The other thing too is we'll have economies of scale. So since we'll own 3 parks, we'll have 1 manager to manage all 3 of those parks. And so this is key, because if we were to buy parks, we bought one and let's say it's another one that's 20 miles away. Well, it's not really beneficial to have one person managing all of those parks separately there, or together as a group. But so with this one, we have 3 parks all right next to each other, so that drastically decreases our operating expenses, because when it comes to landscaping or maintenance or the management, we can have 1 team versus having 3 separate teams at 3 separate parks there. And you'll notice down here, so upon closing, we'll own 3 out of the 5 parks in the submarket. And these 3 that we'll own are the ones that we're going after. There's one other that we're looking at, but the other ones just really don't fit our model. Wouldn't work well with our model. Now, let's see here, the property overview. You'll notice we've got Lake Travis back here. You've got nice condo development right behind it here. There's 2 parks, the right side of your screen. So this is the new developed park. You'll see the asphalt. It's kind of dirty right now because they're currently doing the construction. So this is the property that they emptied all of the tenants. It was a fully occupied, humming park. They emptied all of the tenants out of this property to do the new development. So you'll notice they've already done the asphalt here. They've already got a lot of tenants here. This section, the first phase of this property, is just about fully occupied. And then this bottom left section on this right image, you'll see where it's just all kind of raw dirt there. That's where they're doing the phase 2 for the other lots there. So they'll finish that up. And again, we have them under contract where we are not closing on the property until they have the construction finished and the property completely full. And some people might say, well, why would somebody sign that? And why would these sellers agree to something crazy like, hey, we're not going to close on this until we fill it? It's because of the demand in that area. There's such a high demand for good RV parks because there's so many old dingy ones. And so this right side, again, you'll see the asphalt, the new development, and the bottom of the screen there is where they're doing the phase 2. The left side of your screen, this is the other Sunset Park. This park is actually, it is fully occupied. I think there might be 1 or 2 vacancies right now. We were just there a day ago. This is a property that we'll do our normal value add strategy. We'll come in, we'll fix the roads, we'll do the landscaping packages, we'll clean up the trees, we'll put good signage there. We'll normally put an electric security gate so everybody has their own clicker to get into the community there. And so that's the 2 properties. Next here, we've got purchase price. We've talked about that. Let's see here. Equity funds will be due October 15th. So just to give you an idea, those of you after reviewing through this, you can reach out to myself, Nico, or Brandon, whoever might have sent this to you. And if you have any specific questions on the deal, which we expect you would, because this is just a quick run through of this, that really the process here is if somebody's interested in investing, many of you have already invested in Armadillo, the first park we closed on last week. But the process here is that, get any questions you have answered. And then from there, somebody would reach out to us and they'd say that the amount that they were pledging to invest. And with this specific asset, the minimum investment is $50,000. And so they would reach out to us and give that amount. That means that October 15th is when those funds are due. We would need to receive the funds, but somebody can pledge and kind of benchmark their spot to be in this deal verbally. And then we'll send them all the documents to fill out, and they can get all the documents executed and then liquidate their funds where they can send them over to us there. So the funds will be due the 15th. The other thing too that I really didn't talk much about earlier, many of you guys have already heard this, but really our secret sauce and the reason we've done so well, I've been doing this, many of you know this, since 2012. I've been developing parks, acquiring parks. This is all I've done since 2012. But a lot of our competitors right now are trying to purchase parks and trying to do everything the conventional route where they're going to the bank and they're trying to make these deals pencil and make them work at 8 to 9% interest. And so with these deals, what we're doing is we're going to the seller. We're having the seller carry the debt. So they're doing a term of essentially an owner finance. And so the seller's carrying the debt. And what we negotiate is the max we'll pay on interest is a 5% interest. And so we're only paying a 5% interest, which is outstanding. It really increases cash flow for the investors because the debt service is so low. And so it's a 3-year interest only period. So that means we have 3 years of interest only payments at 5%, again, that drastically increases the cash flow. So with all of these deals, we're generally going direct to the seller. We will give them, you'll notice on this screen, a down payment of $1.5 million. So they'll get $1.5 million down, and then they will carry the remaining of the note, which is the $3.6 million for those 3 years at interest-only payments for 3 years at 5%. Now, just running through here, I'm going to kind of speed this up just for sake of time. Just don't want to drag this on too long, but this will show you kind of trailing pro forma projections for year 1, 2, 3, gross potential income. These are top-line income. You notice year 1, 879, jumping up to 951. And then you've got your net operating income, so the net of take home there. You've got your operating expenses. We talked about that ratio. You'll notice that it's right at almost 40% here. Then it goes to 35 and 33. The reason behind that is that our operating expenses, once we have a community stabilized and fully occupied with longer term tenants, we can cut back on our marketing expenses, which the marketing expenses sometimes can be a couple $1,000s a month. So we can cut back on marketing and really lean up on our expenses. And since these are long-term tenants, we also can minimize the time that our managers have to spend on those properties because they're fully occupied at that point there. So then we've got our debt service, which is the interest only, the 5%, our net income, and then our anticipated market value, which is every year showing it a 7.5 cap rate, which historically, if those of you that are familiar with RV parks, an RV park in a major metropolitan area like San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, they're generally trading around that 7 to 8% cap rate for a stabilized property. And so we're projecting an exit at 7.5, which gives us year 3, $7.7 million. Let's see here. We've kind of talked about some of this, so I won't spend too much time here. We've got your equity multiple. That's the multiple on your money, 1.62, 18.39 IRR. This is a big one too, because a lot of times people look at an overall return, your annualized return of 20.98, so just under 21%, and a total ROI of 61%, almost 62. Let's see here. We've kind of breezed through some of these. This just goes through our sponsor team. We've got Nico that handles a lot of our financials, our back office, our underwriting, and then we've got all of our NIMs here as well. So if you guys have any questions on this slide, reach out to either myself, Nico, or Brandon, depending on who sent this to you, and we can get any of the other questions that you might have answered. We appreciate the time. Just lastly, just kind of rounding this out, I know that many of you guys that have already invested in Armadillo, we did tell you that you had a first right of refusal on this deal. So anybody that's invested in Armadillo will have first dibs on filling this raise that we're raising right now up until October 15th is when the funds are due. And then if there's any additional room left for new investors, then they would be able to come in on this deal. So thank you so much for your time. Again, please reach out to us if you have any questions, and we will look forward to talking to you. Thank you.